Everyone, sorry for ruining the elevator music, but how is everyone today?
Test 1, 2.
Hey, Epi, we got your loud and clear.
Test received.
How has everyone's day been?
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, that's the best I can say.
It's been a day. A quiet day, to be honest. Nice to have a bit of a line.
I don't believe that Vicky will be coming along to this meeting because she sent in an absentee ballot. Would there be someone that could write the minutes?
I usually do it, so unless someone else wants to volunteer. Okay, I do it.
Excellent. Give it a couple minutes before we start.
I was still a wee bit early.
We do have 5. Yeah, we've got 5 absentee ballots, so we're going to have quorum between the absentees and those we've got here.
What is this, a potion effect?
That is the lingering potions.
Okay. There's so much in this game I don't know. I run a server for it. This is... what the hell is happening? Oh my god.
Right, we've got a good amount of people here, and as I mentioned, we've got 5 absentee ballots, so I think we can make a start. So, welcome everyone to the September 2023 GSM, held on Saturday, the 9th of September at our usual time of 7 p.m. UTC. Quite a busy agenda today. We've got 4 conductor applicants as well as quite a few community issues. So I think if we just the sooner we start, the sooner we can finish. So I've pre-randomized the list of staffs for our votes. So if the first conductor we'll be looking at is Awesome Marbles. The first person up for that vote is Frumple.
Oh, okay. Neutral.
Needon is not here. AP. Oh, sorry. M Polo is a 4. Vicky is a neutral. AP.
I'm going to say a neutral for now. I can be convinced otherwise.
HUT is a 4. Scally.
4.
Foot Chicken is against. I am neutral. 7D is 4. Missa is not here. Dinty. Dinty is a neutral, as he's put in meeting chats. And last but not least, DNA.
Neutral.
Excellent.
I also forgot to delete Chief from these tables on the minutes, so excuse me.
I am counting it very quickly. Is that 361?
Sorry, Dina, it was neutral, right?
Yeah, neutral.
Okay. 351, correct. Yep.
No, is it?
Oh, 661. Yeah, 61.
Sorry, no, 461. 7D, Skelly, HUT, and Empolar are 4.
Correct. Okay. 461. Okay.
461. So as things stand, that is not going to be passing. However, just to go through some of the justifications, I'll start off with the one from Foot Chicken that was against, and that his comment was just that he doesn't believe they are yet mature enough for conductor responsibilities. The neutrals we've had on absentee, the only neutral absentee was from Vicky, which is that activity is fine, but from what she's seen, she's pretty air on if she'd trust him for conductor. Would be willing to give him a chance if there is enough support. And then the couple that we've had a 4 from is M Polo said he doesn't know much about Awesome Marbles, but every interaction they've had with Awesome was positive, and have no doubt that they will use their powers to help others. HUT believes they have been pretty active and is a good community member. And 7D can vouch that Awesome knows did it well and is able to communicate with people. Any discussion in the room?
Did Foot? I guess Foot didn't put any further details about any specifics about immaturity.
No, no, he hasn't provided any specifics.
Okay, that's a shame.
So the Skelly, you're the person who is voted for in this room. Is there anything you're wanting to share that hasn't been shared on those absentee ballots already? Okay, Skelly's going to be typing in meeting chats.
Keyboard not working, but I'll type? What? Okay.
I think he meant microphone.
I see. Okay.
Makes sense. I'm getting a lot of silence here, so is there anyone that is in the room that is considering changing their votes based on the commentaries as has been read out? Okay, I need to turn my sounds off.
That's probably a good idea. I think I'll add this on the neutral side on why I voted neutral. I'm not sure if what is referring to this as an immaturity thing, but I have, in my interactions with Awesome, I've noticed a couple times where they've put out, I guess like best I can say, misinformation, and it's not stuff like events or stuff. It's like basic server rules. Like there have been a couple times where they've said something and I point out that the rules or something says that that's not the case. So based on that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, in terms of maturity, then maybe just making sure to try to get the information right when you're saying things, and or just thinking about before you say something. Yeah,
I think that's a
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Simon.
no, yeah, just saying. I think that's a fair comment for why you are neutral on that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think I do concur with what Frumpel's saying. So I would change to neutral based on that.
Okay, Scully is now a neutral.
But the thing I was gonna say is that I don't really want to be voting neutral if I've seen the person just on the basis of I don't really know this person if I've seen them enough. And in this case, I did previously feel that he was just barely on the side of where I'd be able to trust him with conductor. But now that I hear Frumpel's testimony and Foot's as well, I think I'd go back on the side of caution.
Yeah, but again, that's my testimony. I don't know. I can't confirm it with Foot or anyone else. I wish Foot provides some details. Yeah, so.
I think unless there's any final changes, we can call a close to that vote. It looks like after Scully's changes that we're pretty set on those current votes. So that would be that is not a promotion. That is a vote of 3 for, 7 neutral, 1 against, which doesn't meet the 50% threshold.
Yeah, I've not heard anything particularly for or against. That's enough to convince me.
Excellent. So on to 3B, which is Yuri. First up is Needon, who is not here. Second is Scully.
4.
Dinty. Dinty is a 4 in chat. Next is me. I am a 4. Frumpel.
4.
DNA.
4.
AP.
4.
Mpolo is a absentee 4. Foot Chicken is an absentee neutral. Missa is not here and did not submit a vote. Vicky is absentee neutral. HVT is absentee 4. And 7D is absentee 4. So that is a vote of 9 for, 2 neutral, and 0 against, with 2 not voting. I mean, that's pretty unanimous. Just to read off the couple of neutrals. Vicky, it was a case of hasn't seen Yuri enough, just because Vicky hasn't been all that active over the summer. And for Foot Chicken, it was the same case, just hasn't been on at the same time to see them. I think from my perspective, I've worked fairly closely with Yuri uh, when it comes to building the Union line, and they're really good to work with. I with those couple of interactions that we had, I could see that he had very effective communication and could had an effective grasp of world edit. So I think I'm pretty strongly that I would support his promotion.
I guess I have to ask, like, has anyone said anything negative about Yuri? Because it sounds like there isn't really. So
No, the only two votes that were neutral were just that they haven't been on this at the same time as.
Mhm. Okay, I don't. It sounds like there's not much debate here. Or
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. I think we can close off that topic. So that is a promotion to conductor for Yuri. That is a vote of 9-4, 2 neutral, 0 against. Congratulations, Yuri. We'll be promoting you after this meeting. Next up, going into topic 3C, which is the conductor application of Sesh Penguin. The first staff member up is Dinty. Dinty is a tentative 4.
Okay.
Next up is Missa, who is not here and did not vote. Mpolo is an absentee 4. DNA.
4.
7D is an absentee 4. Needon.
You did not vote, I think.
Oh,
Did
sorry, yeah,
not-
Needon is did not vote. Frumple.
4.
Vicky is a 4. I am a 4. Foot Chicken is an absentee 4. Skelly.
4.
HVT is an absentee 4. And last but not least is AP.
A 4.
Yeah, I don't think we need all that much discussion there. That's a unanimous vote. That's 11 for, 0 neutral, 0 against. But is there anyone that wants to make any comments before we do go ahead and certify that?
I'm long-term member with very few issues through the history.
I was thinking of adding a comment to Sesh, but it sounds like people are in agreement. I don't know if people remember, but last year there was like June of 2022, we were dealing with some sort of crash problem where people were like putting books and crashing whole server. Sesh Penguin was instrumental in helping with that. He actually pointed out a video of a very recent hack that had happened, and or demonstration of the hack, and I think that helped, us get through that sort of thing. So based on the helpfulness of him, like I would say I'm an emphatic 4 in this case.
Excellent. I don't think we need all that much discussion there, so I think we can certify 3C as a promotion for SAS Penguin with a 11-0-0. The final conductor nomination for the conductor applicant for the day rather is Megafro. So the first person is Missa, who has not voted. Mpolo is a neutral. Needon has not voted. Skelly.
4.
HUT is a absentee 4. Foot is an absentee neutral. DNA.
4.
Vicky is an absentee 4. Dinty. Is a neutral. AP.
4.
70 is an absentee neutral. Frumple.
Neutral.
And I am an I am a neutral. So that is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 neutral, 5, 4. And 0 against. So that is fairly close to that knife edge of 50%. There would need to be one vote that would to switch if Megafro was to be successful. I'll read out the absentee ballots, as I think there'll be quite a discussion here. Mpolo was neutral and has said that Megafro has been active the past 2 months, but before that their activity levels were pretty low. I think Megafro could easily be conductor if they keep their activity like that for longer. Foot Chicken also neutral. I'm not sure exactly how active they've been recently, but I know in the past there were a few periods they were inactive, but they seem to be better over the past summer. And 7D's neutral vote is don't see them often, so I don't think I can say much.
Okay.
The comments we've had in favour is HVT, who has said that they've been pretty active and is a great community member. Vicky has said 4, but only barely. June activity was quite low, but with the decent activity through July and August, we'll let it slide. And has also been around for a while, like Sesh, and overall has been really trustworthy. That is all the absentees I've read out. Anyone want to start the discussion in the room?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some really nice conversations with Megafro. I think they're really great at communication, so that's the reason I voted for.
I saw the activity record, but to be honest, the last 2 months more than makes up for June.
I'm voting neutral because I don't feel like I know Mega enough. Oh, I disconnected.
I am in the same boat as Rumble. I think I have nothing against. I've got nothing against him, but I just don't know Megafro enough and haven't really interacted with him all that much in the past few months, so couldn't say with any certainty.
I can see some issues with Mega, maybe regarding well, I do think he has the maturity at least for conductor.
Dinty, you're the other person here who has voted neutral. What are your thoughts here? Okay, just to read it out for anyone that isn't seeing meeting chat, Dinty doesn't mind either way. They just haven't really talked to Megafro at all to form an opinion.
So I guess I'll ask, like, what does Mega need to do if they were to apply for conductor again? Like, it just know more people? Like,
So from the absentee ballots, the summary is effectively be active for a longer period. It was very high in July and August, but it was quite low in June. So I think some people just want to see that 3 months successively rather than one fairly low month and 2 quite high.
basically show a commitment. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Probably not. I think commitment's the wrong word. Probably more consistency.
Skelly, can you comment more on that, on the emotional immaturity side? Like, what have you noticed?
I don't really want to comment more because my impression could be wrong, and I don't want to be talking about stuff that I remembered wrong. But I do recall him getting into a couple heated arguments before. Maybe that's probably a longer time ago, though.
Okay. Do you remember when and where this happened? Like, 'cause I don't.
On Discord, probably.
Okay.
But I don't think it's anything to hold against him.
Okay.
Before we close off this discussion, is there anyone here who is considering changing their votes?
The sound of silence. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Dinty is saying 1 sec. We'll give him
Oh,
a
1 sec.
second. Dinty is currently a neutral.
I don't know if I can't. I can't see your activity.
Okay, so Dinty has switched to a 4, so that
Okay.
makes the vote now 6 to 5 to 0. So I think it was silence from everyone else who can use VC. So I think we can close it off there. So that is a vote of 6-4, 5 neutral, 0 against, and with that, Megafro has been promoted to conductor. Congratulations. So that closes off the conductor applications for the day. Just the 4 of them we had today. We now get into the community issues. The first one is a topic by Dinty, which is looking at the rank endorsement procedures for citizen, councillor, and mayor. Dinty, I'll pass it over to you to give a little introduction before we start the discussion. Sorry, I just realised that Dinty can't talk, can he? So to summarise quickly, and I need to grab the agenda up because I only had the minutes and my own doc. So I'll read this verbatim, which is: there's been a bit of discussion amongst staff about how we can resolve the issue of some players having to wait a long time for endorsements for citizen, councillor, and mayor, and this relates to the just the availability of staff to be able to support the endorsements at the time when the player is online. The idea for solving it seems to be to allow people to request endorsements in request to staff in Discord. However, it would need to go through a GSM to be figured out. So for people that can see the Discord, I recommend having a look through the community issue tab for topic 5A. And I think from my impression of the discussion, there was certainly no opposition to it, and I am certainly on board myself with us opening up the votes. Sorry, not the vote. I'm reading chat and get confused. I would like to be able to open up the endorsement procedure to allow people who may not be online at the same time as staff to be able to do it. I think what I would want to be assured, though, is if I open up the topic. That was it. So I wanted to be assured of a couple of things, which is how we can offer the facility to members that aren't in the Discord. So for instance, if we're doing it in Discord, how can we introduce a way of doing it over email also, and how does our procedures work? We'd need to discuss what information would need to be given. So when they are submitting their town, what do they physically need to tell us? How the endorsements are communicated. So if someone puts in a request, how will they know when they receive their first nomination and then when they receive the second one? Whether endorsements can still be requested in game. So do we run 2 concurrent systems, one via Discord, one in game, or do we separate that? And then what the process would be for rejecting endorsement. So what I don't want, for instance, is if it was a topic in request to staff, I wouldn't want it just sitting just sitting there because people haven't endorsed. So at what point do we close it off? Is it a case of, let's say, if there's two staff members who have chosen not to endorse, is that the point? Do we close it off if there's a single staff member who doesn't wish to endorse the town? Just understanding what the process is for the denial. So I think before we get into the finer discussions, is there anyone who wants to discuss the merits of opening it up in the first place, or are we all quite content that this is a good idea?
I don't really see many downsides to it, to be honest. As long as we implement it right, which is why we're here.
Yeah. Based on what I'm reading on discussion in the Discord thread, is it right to say that I don't think we reached any sort of consensus on the implementation? Like, these are all good questions, Simon, but I'm not sure what we're gonna do, right?
Yeah, I think there's been no real consensus in that Discord thread, so I think that it has to be point of discussion here.
Okay.
So I'll present what my view of the system can be, and we can discuss it from there. I should have written it up in the Discord, but I've only thought about it particularly yesterday. But in my vision, I think we would use requests to staff as the method of requesting it, and for people that aren't able to use that requested staff channel, it would be a case of either I would still like people to be able to ask in game, but if they aren't and they still don't see any staff members, they would email the staff, and we would put a request to staff topic on their behalf. I think there's precedent for that. That if a member that isn't in Discord wants to raise a community issue, we would raise a community issues post. So beyond that, once we are tracking it in the Discord, we use the Discord as the official way of tracking it. I personally wouldn't want to run two systems concurrently, so I would prefer that for those three ranks, all endorsements would have to be requested through Discord or through email. I think the one potential downside to that for me is that if you've got a member who has only been a member for a week, that are they necessary? Would it put them off the fact that they can't just ask in game, and they would instead have to request through this other means rather than just happen to be online with a staff member? I'll pause there in case there's any questions about that element of the proposal, which is effectively just saying yes, we should do it in Discord. People can email in and staff can add votes on their behalf, and we would stop the in-game request to prevent having to run two systems concurrently.
I don't think it's a good idea to get rid of the in-game endorsements completely. Again, like I said, particularly for newer members, the chances of them being in Discord immediately is slim. As well, younger members. I mean, the email adds an extra step that I'm not sure how many people would really go for.
Yeah, I can concur with that, AP. Like the people who are not, the young people who are not in the Discord, they're going to be disadvantaged if we just stick with Discord. Like, especially for citizen, that's a pretty critical rank. If they can't get it, that might cause them to just not continue with the server, I would say. I have no evidence of this, but I mean, like, it's, in terms of retention, this might work against that.
Okay, so if we were to run the two systems, how would we want to track those votes? do we continue doing it in the town hall? And assuming that we would continue to do it in the town hall, how would we record the votes in Discord? Is it a case of doubling up the information that has been requested through Discord, so we would record it in Discord and in game?
What if?
Let's go.
What if you just use request to staff to set up appointments for endorsements rather than? Well, it depends on if staff members are willing to set up appointments for endorsements in game to actually meet with the person or not.
So I don't particularly like that idea. I think that again complicates it, and if we're now telling a new member that, oh yeah, to get promoted, please arrange a time that you can have a chat with staff, I think that could put some members off from doing that. Versus, yeah, just put a request in, and when staff get the chance, we will review it when we're in game. And that comes on to another point, which is I think we can put out a list of criteria which they need to write, and a fairly simple example is they would need to post the coordinates of the town and the coordinates of the town hall. But yeah, I would like them to, yes, they would need to provide us information when they apply if they are doing it this way, but I wouldn't want there to have to be an appointment.
That makes sense.
I mean, the elephant in the room is also that we don't have enough staff across all time zones to look at these promotions. So, and unfortunately, unless people disagree, like I don't know if there's any way of addressing that.
Could we not just have the Discord as like a backup if someone can't find a staff member in game?
But then I think that complicates it more, saying that you should apply in game, but if you can't, then you can do that. I think that just makes it more complicated, because at what point is the threshold where it's been too long in game, now you should put it on Discord?
I mean, I don't think we necessarily have to have a threshold. We could just say, if you are struggling to get anything, anyone who wants to can just put it on Discord off the bat. But if someone doesn't want to do it on Discord, they can still request it in game. That's still an option. And then also, maybe just record the endorsements in game still, as we already are, perhaps.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to address Yoshi Pie's point. I think I would agree with that, actually, because I've noticed a lot of the younger people, it's kind of weird because they're not allowed on the Discord, but they actually don't really know email. Like, yes, they do need to use it to apply, but I've had some interactions with some younger people where they I asked them to email, and they're like, what's that? Or I don't want to use that, right? That's the trend of how things are going. So
I think if someone is unable to email and hasn't joined the Discords, at that point, I don't know what else we can do to help them, and it's just a case for them of waiting for a staff member in game.
Kind of a wacky idea, though. I don't know. Feel free to shut this down. We've always had required two staff members for these specific promotions. Does reducing it to one help in any way here?
I mean, I'd say for me, obviously, because I haven't been moderated for that long, I think I quite like having a second backup, just in case I'm voting it extremely wrongly or something. It's quite nice for that.
Sure. Okay, that's valid.
Yeah, I have always liked there being a second vote. I think when there's some quite niche requirements for particularly councillor and mayor, and if a staff member, for instance, forgets to check that, have they declared the name of the town and the mayor's name in the town hall for mayor,
Mhm.
have they made sure they've declared a deputy mayor? And actually, I've had it before where I've been the second vote, and I've gone to look at those specifics in the town hall, and they've been given an endorsement even though they hadn't met the baseline requirements by having the deputy mayor listed, and at the point they just hadn't nominated someone.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, if the double checking is what you guys if is fine, then I'm just saying that because I'm just suggesting this because if it reduces the barrier for like someone to have to wait for not one but two people, I just wonder if that'll help. But if you guys want to keep the double checking, that's totally fine.
I think, I mean, I think this is something where we don't have to get it right first time. It's low enough low enough stakes that we can come up with a plan, and if we need to, we'll change it in due course. So I think we can introduce it and keep the 2-vote requirement, and then if we're still seeing the trend of people struggling to get endorsements, then we could review that if we still need to.
So, sorry, going back to the topic at hand, did we decide to have these 2 concurrent systems or no? I don't think we've.
I think I was the main person who was against it, and actually your argument of needing it to so people who didn't have Discord and weren't comfortable using emails could still do it. So I think that's the first comments.
Which leads to the question, do we record the votes in Discord, regardless?
I think we still would. I think for a staff member who are having a quick look, it is a quick show of who has voted. And then, I mean, currently in game, we don't record if we don't endorse, because we typically currently we would say, no, I can't endorse for these reasons. So I think we would need to record the votes in Discord, if nothing else, but to communicate that, no, I'm not endorsing because there's not enough builds, there's not enough interiors, it's too basic, whatever. But even if it's I've endorsed, I'm going to react with a tick.
And also, I think for the majority of people, it will probably be more convenient to do it on Discord anyway, just because, generally speaking, there's not usually more than one staff member on at a time. So people would probably want to use the Discord forms anyway, even if the in-game system still exists.
Yeah, I think the only place where this could get complicated, where actually if it's in the town hall, great. If it's in Discord, great. Where it could get complicated is if they already have a first nomination, they've managed to get that in game, but they're struggling to get the second. So at that point, they put it on Discord.
Yeah.
So effectively, there would be one less reaction than we'd be expecting because it's already been done in game.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest maybe just having it either you choose to have all your endorsements in game or on Discord, but the big drawback of that is I think that's less flexible. Like if someone got their first endorsement and is trying to wait for the next staff member, like
they shouldn't have to go back to 0.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe the answer to that is that actually, when you request it in Discord, one of the questions is, do you have any endorsements yet?
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you, Simon. I think this is the kind of thing we just need to experiment, try out, because we don't know. We don't know how it's going to work, really.
So I think based on the discussion, if I go through the list of what my questions were, I think the discussion seems to be that we are still allowing requests in game, but then we will also allow requests in the request to staff channel, and for members that aren't in the Discord, they can also request it to a staff email. If the staff receive an email, then we will put it in requests to staff in Discord on that person's behalf. So in terms of tracking, it would be in one of two locations. It's either in the Discord or it's in game, because email still gets tracked via Discord. The next question was what information needs to be given. I think we would ask the basics, like what is the town's name, who is the mayor, if it's appropriate, who is the deputy mayor, and apologies, I'm sort of honing in specifically on the council and the mayor there. There would be different ones for citizen, but I'm happy to thrash out a template that people would submit. But generally for, well, let's start with citizen. I think for citizen they would need to submit what their username is, the locations of their business and the location of their house, coordinates for both. For councillor, it would be the name of the town, the mayor's name. Ask for the deputy mayor, but it isn't essential for councillor. And then just coordinates of the town, coordinates of the town hall. And then finally for mayor, the only difference is that the deputy mayor is now a requirement rather than it being optional for councillor. The next question I had was how it's communicated. So we would, I'm in agreement with that they still get recorded in the town hall, but then if it has been raised onto Discord, then we continue to record it in the Discord. So if it is tracked via Discord, we track it in both locations. Can endorsements still be requested in game? We said yes. And then what is the process for rejecting an endorsement, which I think is the last area which we haven't discussed. I think for me, we should allow 2 negative votes before we close off a topic. I would like to make it a policy that if staff are rejecting it via Discord, it's not just a reaction, that we need to give some kind of feedback for this is why you haven't yet met the standards. So I think first of all, require staff when they reject a request to give some feedback, but then if there are 2 staff members that have rejected it, at that point we can close off the thread in Discord, because otherwise it would just end up sitting there and waiting for every single staff member to look at it, most of which are probably saying no if 2 have.
I suppose for the feedback we can either just email that or the in-game mail.
Oh, sorry. Is it? Yeah. If someone's sent it on email rather because they don't have access to Discord, then yes, we could email that to them as well as, although it would be tracked in the Discord.
Well, this wouldn't be preventing the phenomenon of shopping for a staff member to try to give a positive endorsement, right?
Yeah, it does, because yes, you can still ask in game and people still can get around it that way, but if they're going for speed and they just want 2 staff members to look at it and they think they've met the rank, then yeah, they're you're not able to target a specific staff member when they're online.
Alright, Simon, I've written some stuff in the minutes. Can you just quickly just scan over that? I feel like I might miss some of what you said there.
Yeah, sure. Apologies, I was speaking quite quickly there.
Well, no, it's not quickly. It's a lot, actually.
So players will be able to request endorsements in 3 ways: Discord, in-game, and email, and those will be put onto Discord. Endorsements can be mixed these, but we need to make sure that first in. So what's that second sentence meant to mean? Sorry.
So, if someone makes a first endorsement, it has to be recorded in, I guess the.
Oh,
the
sorry, I
appropriate
see.
places. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a case of the template that they're filling in would have a question: have you already received an in-game endorsement?
Okay.
But I think that is only relevant to where it transfers. So you've gone from having your first endorsement in game to now requesting your second through Discord.
And the information that's given by player, I got coordinates of town and deputy mayor. Was there anything else that I missed there?
So start off with, I think it would be different for the 3 different ranks. So for citizen, it would be player name, then the location of the town, sorry, the location of the house and the location of the business. In some ways, I'd also want a. How do we, well, how do we check that they've met the requisite time? But actually, I suppose staff already have to check that outside of the request.
Yeah.
So I'm not too bothered about them putting that. The last thing on sitting would just be, have you received any prior endorsements?
Would it be better to say, have you received any prior endorsements reviews?
No, I don't think they'd have to. If they'd had a negative review, then I don't think they'd have to declare that.
As a rule, if I know that a person has been denied before, I will usually ask what exactly they were told to see if they've improved on the feedback.
So I personally don't do that. I always review it based on my own standards rather than have they improved since the last staff member reviewed it.
Of course, and yeah, it's better to stick to your own standards, but I also do that generally to avoid someone just not heeding the feedback and hoping that another staff member would judge differently.
I think it complicates it, because all of a sudden you're having to get them to write out, this is why the last staff member rejected me. But I think that becomes a lot more complicated, and it could push some people away that they're having to write in a public setting, my town isn't good enough for these reasons, or wasn't good enough for these reasons. So I would still prefer that they didn't have to write out what their previous feedback had been if they'd been rejected.
If you think so, then we'll go with that.
I think that captures everything, Crumple. Yeah, you've everything that's required. I think coordinates of town it's worthwhile saying coordinates of town hall specifically, because it's the town hall which we have to check the details. So have they got the name of the town declared? Have they got the name of the mayor declared? Deputy mayor for the mayor rank as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot easier if we can teleport straight to the town hall.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I guess, Simon, would you be just, I guess, in the request to staff templates, because you already wrote, would you just add that in there?
I will add that into request to staff template, yes.
Okay, cool. And I added the stuff about rejecting endorsements. Anything else there?
No, I think that is everything. I suppose we've got a solution there, but is there any last minute thoughts from anyone that, well, is there any disagreement with that? I think we can experiment and we can change things later, but is there any immediate flags that we need to address now before we implement it? I think silence means we can go ahead and implement this proposal. I will update it on the website to state the process, as well as update the request staff templates. I'd imagine I'll be able to do that at some point tomorrow, so we can expect it to go live tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Simon.
I'll also, just for completeness, I'll send a message in hash staff so to make sure that all the staff members know how they need to handle that process going forwards. Right, excellent. I think we are complete with topic 5A there, and we can now go on to topic 5B, and this is looking at whether we open the Discord server up to having guests in there as well. So the origin of this goes back to it was the March 2023 GSM, where we were looking at effectively what we could do to encourage guests to stay on the server rather than just looking around and leaving. And one of the discussion points which needed to be hashed out with a bit of detail was the potential for the Discord to be opened up so they feel like they're more of a part of the community. I think we have discussed in the Discord that we want to lock a lot of the channels down, but yeah, we've been discussing in that Discord thread over the past week or so what that new Discord layout would look like. So I think, having seen Frumple's lay down that he proposed yesterday, was it you posted that, Frumple?
Yeah, sorry for the lateness, but yeah, it's there.
I actually like your justifications for the couple of channels that have changed. I think the key difference between mine and yours were that I had a second general channel. I had one that was open to everyone and a second one for members. I think in hindsight, actually, that creates a bunker-like channel. We had already tried that in game, and I think that just poses to stop members actually interacting with the guests. One thing that I would suggest is that the new open general channel is a newly created channel. I think I wouldn't want the current chat's history to be accessible by guests, in case that anything that someone has posted in general, well, if anyone posted that expecting that would only be seen by members. So I think if we were to archive the current general and create the new one, I would be happy with your proposal as is written.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it sounded like the consensus I saw was that they didn't want the two separate general channels. What do people think about what Simon just said? Like, I'm okay with that. Like, just like archiving existing general.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So I will mention one per person. So Vicky Tori put in their absentee vote that she was leaning against this concept. She was worried that allowing our Discord to go public would open up a can of worms, and even though that we limit the number of channels that would be open, she would be skeptical of if it would really help attract/maintain many people.
Okay.
She worried that rules can be more difficult to enforce, and she says that Dinty also raised a good point that it could open up members to potential harassment from guests joining the server and getting DMs from these new guests. So that was London who originally brought up the concern that if guests are joining the Discord and don't have any checks before they can, then they can freely join the Discord and use that as an attack vector to DM people directly.
This might be just something I've misremembering, but isn't there an option to prevent sending DMs unless someone's got a verified account?
But why wouldn't these guests have verified accounts?
Fair point.
Just to clarify, there are Discord settings. Just to make it clear, just so people understand, the way I'm kind of envisioning is when a new guest comes onto our Discord, they actually can't see any of the green channels or any of that. I think they just only get new members or something. In that channel, there'll be explicit instructions saying that they need to go to our Minecraft server and then link their Discord and Minecraft accounts together. At that point, they get the linked role in Discord, and that bypasses any sort of security things in like preventing DMs and all that sort of stuff. So once they get past that, then they will get the green channels, just a limited number, and yeah, they'll be able to do what they need to do, what they want to do, I guess.
I think my stance as well is that most people who are in our Discord are probably in several other Discords as well. So actually, yes, the MRT could become an attack vector for that, but there's probably already several open attack vectors to the point of we aren't significantly adding to that.
I guess the question is, if we do get a higher workload from all of this, are staff prepared to deal with it, or do want to? It sounds like Vicky might be on the side of like maybe not, and that's fair, I think, because we're all pretty busy and not necessarily on the server all the time, or even on the Discord all the time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And this for me is why I wanted to limit them to a subset of channels, because if we do see guests where we need to enforce it, actually, we have still got 95% of the channels still available to members only talking. So it's only maybe a couple of channels which could be infected by guests coming in and breaking the rules.
Okay. I'm also going to poke holes in my own layout, or even yours, Simon. Another thing, is that enough channels for guests? Is that enough for them to be, I guess, entertained? I don't know if that's the best word. Like, if you look at it, it's they can only interact with 4 channels, I guess. The server, the Minecraft server, and those 3. They can look at some of the other ones, but they can't do very much. I don't know if that might act as an incentive for them to get member, perhaps. But is that all? I'm just saying, is that enough for them to get a glimpse of how our community is?
I do. I think yes, they get to interact, but on top of that, they would get the feed from announcement and notification. So I think that would help them to feel like part of the server and see what's going on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. To counter Vicky's point a little bit, like, we do get a lot of there is an assumption from a lot of new players that our Discord's open, so we do get a lot of people asking for a Discord right away, or close to right away. So yeah, to tell them that their Discord's not open is kind of I'd say a barrier, a letdown for them. I think that contributes to people not sticking around, perhaps.
It's quite hard to apply to a community if you don't get to interact with that community. It's difficult to make that decision.
Yeah. No, Vicky is in the chat right now, so I'm not sure if she's listening in. I guess the question is, do we want to go with it? Like, there's a lot of points made. I don't know. You want to try it?
I would like to try it. I think this is something that we can go back on if this ends up being a complete disaster. But yeah, I think that this is a positive way of allowing guests to see, if not all of the community, it's at least more than they can see now. So I don't think, in terms of guest retention, it would hurt. It can only help.
Okay. To answer Athena's question, yes, well, at least based on my layout, like actually Simon's also has that too, but just in different location. Yeah, media channels and wiki channel are visible. I think there was some debate in the thread about whether to also open up random and nostalgia. The thing of random is it is a fairly big part of the server, even though I completely ignore it. But so in a sense, it might be good to show that, because
so
it is the server. Like, I don't know.
The reason that I said no to random initially is I don't want guests just seeing the channel name and thinking that's okay for them to just create complete spam,
But
or
but
worse than
admittedly,
that, potentially homophobic, racist things, thinking, "Oh, this is just random. I can post anything."
it is, but it'll be read only though. That's like right now.
Oh,
It's
sorry, I
yeah,
thought you were saying going
Yeah.
to them posting.
yeah. To be very clear, like at least in my layout, the random and nostalgia are not even visible to guests. So do we want to even show those channels? That is what I'm asking.
I don't think there's any harm in showing it. So would there be any objection of those that are here now to us implementing this and allowing it to happen with Frumple's channel proposal, which is the most recent one in the thread, with the exception of random and nostalgia?
Timing wise, just also timing wise, Simon, I'm planning the Delta migration at the end of this month. I don't know if it would be a good idea to try to do all of these things at once. Do you think it'd be best if, like, you try to do this now or
that's
afterward? I don't know.
it's going to take time to set up the new Discord, so I think it's even if we do some transitions and just create the new channels ahead of time, I think that the opening of Delta could act as a nice date to physically start inviting guests.
Okay. I just don't want too much stuff to deal with as part of the migration.
I guess another thing we could potentially do, and I'm not sure how when it is open to guests, would it be feasible to do a messaging chat every, say, 10 minutes? Or similar to how at the start of the month there's the server voting list message. To say, oh, we have a Discord, join at this link.
I think that would get more annoying to members, to be honest.
Hmm.
And I think if we... Well, I suppose the one thing we haven't discussed is how are they getting into the Discord? Are they still having to ask staff for a link? Are they just... Is there going to be a standing link that anyone can give them? Because for me, if they can only see the new members in there, which tells them before you can access the rest of the Discord, you need to link your account. I don't see why we couldn't just have an open link, and potentially, I don't know what boost level you need, but potentially we could have a custom MRT URL.
I believe that's a boost level 3, which we're not quite there, or we have been in previous months, but not consistently lately.
I mean, like Athena's just said, putting the link on the website, I don't think we could redo that without a standing link anyway. So I think I'd be in favour of a standing link.
I think that makes sense. And
another option. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just saying, repeating what Jamata said, which is that we would also need to update the /Discord command, which currently says it's members only.
Yeah, another option, though I don't know. Actually, this would solve it, because there's been talk of trying to get this server to become a Discord partner. We have about 410-ish people in the server, and the minimum for partners is 500. So if we open the server to guests, I think it'd be a lot easier to get to that point.
What does that give you? Sorry.
For one thing, a custom invite link, amongst other
things.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have to. It wouldn't be worried based on boost level. It would be, you just apply for it and hopefully get approved. I don't know how easy it is to get a partner, but at least the option does open up when we get to 500 members in the Discord.
You get a free T-shirt, I think, as well.
I think they stopped doing that.
What about becoming a community? I think community server also has the same perks, but that would require some pretty interesting requirements.
We're already technically a Discord community server. That's already enabled. So, yeah. But yeah, a partner is, yeah, the next step. Be right back, Hornet. What?
I'm assuming he's being attacked
Okay.
and is now wafting a hornet out of his room.
Okay, hopefully he's safe.
The hornet got him. He's left.
Oh no. Rip. Okay, let's try this. Simon, one thing I was gonna do, I didn't really mention it. I was thinking of maybe making like a check, just among staff, like a checklist, like as part of doing this Discord thing, because I can also see there's a lot of places in game, like commands, the website, like all these, like everything pointing about the Discord, that we might want to just run through and make sure we get all that as well. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't gotten around to making it. Yeah.
Like on the agenda now, or on the minutes now?
Kinda. Like it's more like a lot of little things, like the commands in game. Like there's a whole bunch of them that are kind of refer to the Discord being private. Like I don't know. There's just I just remember going through it a long time ago, and there's like a lot of little things we need to update as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll talk to you.
Yeah, sounds good. I think that is just about 5B complete, and we have agreed that we are rolling with it, unless there's any further comebacks on that discussion. I will take silence as contentment to go ahead to topic 5C. So the next one is, I'm not really sure if we should implement this, but I more wanted it to be a discussion between us. I posted some metrics into Discord, which is looking at how many times the 5th staff vote on a senator or a governor application actually matters. And if I bring the Discord thread up. And yeah, in about where am I looking at? Yeah, in only 5% of votes, that 5th staff vote was able to swing it. So the question that I was raising is, if 95% of the vote, if 95% of the staff votes are going to be decided without that 5th vote, are we safe to reduce it to require a minimum of 4? I think the pros of that would be just less overall work for staff, because it hasn't happened recently, to be fair, but there have been times in the past where we've seen towns delayed by at least a couple of days because they haven't got that 5th vote, even if it is 4 votes in favour, no votes against. Because they haven't got that 5th vote, the town hasn't been able to complete. So
sorry, I did put some stats also on your thread, Simon. Strictly speaking, there's less towns being submitted, but the percentage of overdue is increased. But I don't know whether that's a pattern or not. Like I don't know. But that's the kind of conclusion I made.
I mean, it would be a very easily reversible change anyway, so it's probably not something. It's not going to be permanent, is it?
So I don't think it is I think the challenge is if we say we're reversing it, we get some towns that are voted in, and then we decide reversing it back. Does it undermine the towns that get promoted during that? Does it undermine the towns that have already been promoted? So yes, we physically can change it easily, but does that create some discontent because there were some towns that got in under?
I think what the hell, Discord?
stance is, I think I am personally not feeling strong enough to implement it. I think even just the mental hurdle of with 5 votes you need 3 in favour and can have 2 against, versus with 4 votes, well, you still need 3 in favour because it has to be conclusive. But you can now only have 1 vote against. I think even though we've shown that that only matters in 5% of the cases, just the mental barrier of needing a higher percentage of those 5, it does concern me to the point of I would almost be in favour of just staying with what we've got now until it gets worse.
Apologies, I was just out for something. What did you just say?
So I'm saying that the fact that effectively the ratio of 4 votes to against votes that you're allowed reduces, because if we reduce the total number of staff votes required, well, you still need to have 3 votes because you need to have a majority. So rather than now needing 60% of votes in favour, you would need 75 votes because that would be 3-1 instead of 3-2. So just for that mental hurdle, I think it's worth keeping it as is for now until
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
until it gets worse and we're seeing towns delayed more.
That's fine.
Plus, it's a case of more staff means more feedback. So particularly for the towns that we're voting against, they get that extra bit of feedback to help them develop going forwards.
I guess you should ask the people, like, do they carry their way? Do they want less? Do want us to reduce it or just leave it alone? Yeah, sometimes some staff, some more than 5 staff do vote on towns, so it does kind of become a tie anyway, or can become a tie. I'm not seeing very much engagement here, Simon. So I'm not sure.
No, I'm happy to just say let's keep the status quo. It's not enough of a bother for the community that they could be delayed a couple of days.
Jasper's asking, would it be possible to edit the script so that a vote won't change the outcome it finishes? I don't understand that question.
So I think he's saying if there's only 4 votes but it's 4-0, could we just stop it even though it hasn't got the minimum 5th vote? Because regardless of the vote count.
Yeah.
I personally don't like that. I think if it's, let's say it's 3, or let's bad example, if it's 2-2, well, it wouldn't. I don't know. I just don't like the idea that we're seeing different thresholds.
Here's a good example. Let's say there's a 2-0 town versus a 5-0 town. Is that fair? Like technically by what Jasper's suggesting there. Like both of them would be promoted.
But then I think what Jasper is suggesting is you would still need 3 votes in favour because that would be the threshold.
Okay, so I guess
you would need at least 3 votes one way.
So okay, instead of 2-0, 3-0, 3-0 versus a town that gets 5 4 votes.
But 3-0 is a better vote than 3-2, and a 3-2 town is going to be promoted.
Fresk says that he would rather have it be an odd number of votes.
But I think, a 3-0 town, although it's going to be promoted, you're missing out the feedback of those other two people.
Yeah, I'd imagine that each town needs to have about them roughly the same amount of feedback. So I think that's.
I think overall there's no strong opinions either way. Shall we just keep the status quo? We've highlighted it. We know that there has been a trend in increasing delays to town votes, but actually for now,
Yeah.
we just leave it as is. It's a symptom ultimately of having fewer staff than ever before, but
Yeah.
we are still routinely getting 5 on the votes.
Yeah,
It just may take a few extra days.
I see, the worst that can happen is people just wait a couple more days, which is not
Mhm.
really the end of the world. So hopefully. So. Okay.
Okay, I think with that we will close off 5C and we will say that there's no change. We will still require 5 votes to be made to for a town to be to finish in the senator and governor promotions. The last topic in 5D is Frumpools, which is looking at the fancy holograms plugin. So over to yourself, Frumpool.
Okay. So if you haven't noticed on beta, there is a new plugin I'm testing out that's suggested by AP, who's here. This is a plugin that makes it easier to create holograms. I do know that there is a way to do this same sort of thing with the armor stand tools, but it is a lot more involved from what I hear. This plugin, it's all done through pretty straightforward commands. It does have some disadvantages, but I think if you look in the Discord thread, I did look at some other hologram plugins, and they're either in 2 categories. One is they're just dead; they're completely abandoned, and the other active ones I've seen are very similar, have very similar permissions and structures. Like they're intended for the commands in the plugin are very intended just for admins. Really, there's only one permission that gives you access to all the commands. And secondly, there's no concept of ownership with holograms in these plugins, in this one and the other active one I saw. So there's no like record of like this hologram belongs to a certain player. It's all just a bunch of holograms that the plugin stores in one big list.
See,
Yep. Oh, go ahead.
consider it like signs. We don't have ownership on signs aside from occasional word guard.
But you do have core protects.
Well, with warps, those are owned. So there's a bit of a difference there, right?
Like with signs, you can prove who pasted it. With holograms, you may not be able to.
Yeah. That's yeah. Sorry, that's core. Yeah, there's no. There'll be a server log of someone deleting a command or deleting a hologram, but it's really hard to I can't. It's hard to track down. It's also kind of impossible to restore that hologram. So, Fred, look at the screenshots in the agenda, or go visit beta server yourself, and you can see them for yourself at spawn.
I hopped over to the beta server myself for a minute.
Yeah. AP, you had this plugin for like highway signs, right? So.
Yeah, that's kind of where I saw it being used. Most.
Okay.
Because at the minute there is no good alternative, realistically.
Yeah, I like this plugin because I think Spawn needs more information. It's again going back to trying to retain guests. The signage is better, but there's no way to just tell the guests like the rules, and you can't get into our Discord, like that sort of thing. So I put some. These are suggested holograms. They're not final, but just an idea of what that could look like.
I do like that they stay flat versus, or you can keep them flat versus armor stands, because armor stands are okay, but the fact you can keep them flat makes it more realistic on like road signs.
So you mean stationary, like they don't follow.
They don't rotate with your
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah. Fred asked, do they pop in the same way maps do? What do you mean by that? I don't know.
So can you left click to delete them? And no, you can't.
Nope. They're they're quite independent. They can only be deleted or created through commands.
I like the plugin and would like to implement it, but I think with the lack of with the lack of good permissions,
Yeah.
I think I would agree with the conductor rank to be able to place them, which other people have suggested. I think realistically, the fact that you can get trustee after a couple of weeks, when you can post some, well, potentially explicit messages with, and it's very hard to actually track down who did it. I am not particularly comfortable with just a generic trustee being able to place them,
Yeah,
versus at least a conductor has had to go through the process and we can trust them to use welded it. I think we can trust them to do this as well.
Yeah. So I think AP also you said that you prefer conductor. I did pose a question: should it be conductor or like just maybe mods or above? But yeah. Just to answer Fred's question, yeah, there is a distance configuration. I did have to increase it for AP to make those highway signs work. So there is some configuration there.
Yeah, at the minute it's 60. I think default was 20. 60 is further than for maps.
So so it sounds like conductor. That goes to the next question though. Is this something that I guess is this just a perk for conductors and above, or is this something that people can people request holograms to be made from a conductor? Or
No, this would be people can request a conductor makes it.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
The expectation that is that anyone can request it is for the conductor to actually do it.
No. I think you're misunderstanding. What I'm asking is, do we even allow people to request these or not?
Oh, yeah, I think yes.
I mean, there might be the drawback of allowing this is that it means a lot of people are going to need to. There's going to be a lot more requests along these routes, and specifying what's in a hologram is kind of. It can get quite elaborate. Like you see the rules, the rules, or at least some of the holograms I've shown. Like you can have like multiple lines of text. You can have colors in those lines, in like just parts of those lines. Like it feels like it's almost you can't. What I'm saying is you can't just type the whole request in game. It sounds like you might have to just DM the person in Discord or something to really be able to request these effectively. It's a lot of information.
I mean, placing down, I don't think it'd be that infeasible if someone says, oh, holograms go here, they place down a few signs of what the content should be, what the size should be.
Okay.
And it should be fairly obvious there. And at that point, that's kind of any more information can be kind of worked out can be worked out during placing.
I guess this question goes to any conductors here right now. Like, do you think you can handle that's a request? I mean, granted, you'd never seen that sort of hologram request before, but it is. I can see it being complicated. Fred, I could set it to 120. I'm not sure what the performance implications are. Like if you have an area that has a lot of holograms, that might slow down. That might make it not nice for a person to fly through.
I doubt it would be any worse than the equivalent amount of signs.
Yeah. Actually, Fred, why are you asking for 120 specifically? Like, are you thinking of using this for something specific? Fast boys on highways. Okay, yeah, I see.
I still think the current. I was just riding around Central Park, and the current distance still gives you good visibility. Like you would see a sign for a couple of seconds before you get there.
We can play around with the config. That's not a big deal. But I'm more going back to the question. I'm more concerned about, just do we allowing people to request holograms? It sounds like it could get kind of wacky.
I guess the other thing is whether we have the whole concept of, well, even though there's no explicit concept of ownership in the same way there are for warps, having something, even if it's similar to how schematics, we ask people to prepend their username to schematics. We could do a similar thing for the names of holograms.
Yeah, we need to, for that, I agree with that. That's a good idea. We'd have to figure out that format before we start doing this then. I guess it'd be just something like username dash or underscore name a hologram. That's pretty basic there.
I think if dashes can be put in, because holograms could lead to the, admittedly small chance of collisions, but...
I mean, another idea I've just had is, can we have it permission based on the world, so we don't allow trustees to do it on the new world, but actually we can let them do it on the lab world. Then it's out of vision of most people, but they can refine what they want it to look like to be pasted into the new world, and then they have an exact command.
That's an interesting idea. So let me just double check, because I think there might be a duplicate command, which might make that really easy too. Because then they would be able to just create it on lab and then reduplicate it from there. Hold on.
And then if they're created on the lab world, well, actually, I don't particularly care if another... well, not care, but it doesn't matter all that much if a trustee comes along and deletes someone else's, because, well, it was just there as a template until it got copied over.
Yeah, so Jasper, copy-e will probably break it. Because from what I can see with this particular plugin, how it works is it stores a record of holograms in its own config, its own data, basically. So if you copied a hologram via world edit, you then end up with a copy that's not recorded in the plugin. So I don't know what the... that seems like
I tried copying it with world edit. It doesn't work.
Okay, so it's not a... Okay, so it does... Okay, never mind then. It doesn't... It's not an entity in that sense. Yep, there is... Okay, yeah, I just confirmed. There is a hologram copy command. So, yeah, we could do it so that the lab world is free reign, as you said, trustee or above.
But does that... I think we'd need to do some testing, so can you actually test it between... Can you copy it between worlds, or is it... I don't know how that functionality works.
You can. That's something I'm trying now, but it's if you don't. The thing I'm a bit conscious of, if you don't define a new name for it, it appears not to give it a new name, so you have two holograms with the same name.
Oh, that seems like
What's
a bug. Yeah.
What's the problem with that? Like, if you delete it, it would delete both.
No, it means you have two entries in the same name. That's already confusing in itself, right? Which one do you delete? Which one's the copy, right?
Hang on, there isn't. There isn't. That's good to know.
Oh, so it doesn't do that?
So there isn't what?
It renames it to what appears to be a tilde.
Okay. So the important thing is it doesn't try to have holograms with the same name. It does. Each hologram has a unique name, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you just tested on beta, like it copies from a say lab world to a new world, right? With no problems.
Yes.
Okay. But
So I would then be in favour of allowing holograms to be placed by trustees and up on the lab world, and by conductors to copy it onto the new world.
Okay.
I would like to set a rule that we don't have holograms on the old worlds. I know that we do already have a rule that we don't allow for construction, but I'd like to
Yeah.
agree explicitly that holograms, they're not in keeping with the old world, so we just don't allow them on there.
I think
Sure.
I think we can also enforce that with permissions. I'll double
Yeah.
check, but you can set world-specific permission to say no, you can't use the hologram commands on that world. But yeah,
I would like that.
okay. Holograms. And just to add on to this, yeah, I will be adding this spawn holograms on there, because I think that that'll go a long way to, just making sure the guests aren't lost when they first join. Trusty.
Is there any disagreement to that? Just to looking at the absentee ballots.
Actually,
I think there's no objections. People are in favour of the plugin. There's
sorry, Simon. I just realized something. If we allow the holograms for trustees, they can delete anyone else's holograms. Is that something we? Yeah.
how. So, but they would only be able to run that command on the or from the lab world. Could you delete something that's on the new world?
I'd have to double check, but it feels. I don't think the plugin has a means of the plugin itself internally doesn't have a way to differentiate worlds. I think it just you have access to the command to the delete command, for example, and it'll just allow you to delete any hologram. So yeah,
That's annoying.
it's not. Yeah, it's one of those. This is it's kind of the double-edged sword of this plugin. It's very new. Because it's very new. It is kind of a bit more optimized for like 120 and stuff. But at the same time, it's not very mature. Like there is a GitHub issue to like add permissions, for example, for each command. But it's still, it's still a work in progress.
Okay. Based on that, I am probably going back to the idea of conductors only, and that world that's not specific to any world.
Okay. No one Yeah, actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, the permissions would only work for the old world stuff, for example. Like, all it would do is prevent someone running the command while they're in the old world.
Which would stop them creating it there. 'Cause I'd assume you have to be located somewhere to create it. I haven't done it.
I think, yes, I think so. Yeah, but deleting.
So it would stop. It would
yeah.
stop them adding it onto
adding
the.
it.
World.
But deleting it, you'd specify for deleting. It takes in the name of the hologram, and that hologram could be on the new world or on some other world, even though you're in the old world.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
That is annoying, but I think based on that, I am back to the only conductors line.
Yeah. AP, I don't know if you could test. Again, I haven't tested it specifically, but that's my theory of how the plugin works. I don't know if you can try that there. Oh, I guess you
think-
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go back into the lab world.
Okay.
Create one on one world. Try to delete it from another world.
Yeah. Okay. Does that sound good to everyone? Holograms are coming.
The holograms are taking over.
Yep. The fake people, plastic people.
It comes up with an error message of cannot find hologram A0A4 CCW.
Oh, that.
Oh,
So hold on. You created a hologram in which world?
so hologram I created from in the new world.
And then you tried to delete it while in another world?
Yes. Hang on, I might have mistyped something.
Okay. Anyway.
Yes, you can remove a hologram between worlds.
Yeah, that's what I expected. So, too bad. So sad. Okay. All right. We better wrap this up, Simon. Let's get on to your topic there.
I think so. Yeah. So. Are we, just to be clear for 5D? Then we're saying, we're saying that we will implement it. It will be for conductors only, and that will be regardless of worlds.
Yep. And players can request holograms from conductors, though. I do have concerns about how that's going to work, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay, excellent. So that concludes the community issues. We have one other topic, which is topic 6A, and that is something I am very much looking forward to, which is the official opening of the MRT Union Line. So I've got a bit of a speech prepared. I promise it's very short. So the Union Line was started just under 11 months ago. I proposed it originally at the October 2023 GSM, and I finally finished it about just over a week ago. So I think most people will have seen it on the Dyne map, but for anyone that doesn't know, it's the big grey line that surrounds the full New World. It's the longest MRT line we have. I measured it based on the Dynap line, and it's just shy of 255 kilometres. For the British, that is about from the centre of London to the centre of Manchester, just to give it in perspective. Yeah, there's 220 stations on it, which is more than any other MRT line, and I am really proud to have finished it. So with that, I think the only thing for me to do is to invite everyone to follow the red carpet, which goes down into the departure booth, and declare the line open. Please feel free to ride it.
Yay.
Woo.
Congrats.
Wait, this is the Zephyr Line station. Where am I going?
Follow the red carpet. You have to go down.
Oh yeah, I'm a dumb.
The red carpets of the grey line.
The red carpet to the grey line, yeah.
Right, see you all in Ellerton.
It will take you about 3 hours.
Cool.
So with that, we have concluded the GSM, the actual topics. We will now open it up to any questions that anyone may have. So if you have a question, feel free to either ask it in meeting chats, or if you'd like to talk in game, either let us know in chat that you're wanting to talk in the Discord, or just raise your hand in the Discord call and we'll invite people in. I am not seeing any requests in game or hands in the Discord, therefore we can now conclude the September 2023 GSM. Thanks everyone for coming along.
Oh wait, hold on.
Oh, sorry. So, Athena, are you able to come into the Discord voice chat to ask the questions? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that first question.
I think what they're asking is your external Discord that you made. Did you update it to, I guess, my layout? I guess I don't know if that's necessary, but.
No, I mean, I will update it, but we'll go off from pools plus the amendments we discussed as the official solution.
Okay.
But like that Discord will eventually be closed down when it's rolled onto the main server.
Yeah, it was just an example for showing. Fred, just go ahead and ask your secondary questions.
And Fred, do you want us to add you to the call if you can chat?
Okay, you have to join the stage, Fred, or raise your hand. I think is what it is.
I've invited you to speak, Fred. There you go.
Hello, hello. Is this working?
Okay,
Hi,
Fred,
we can hear you.
Fred, I'm just gonna jump in. Are these silly questions? Because I know you.
Well, I wouldn't say they're silly.
Okay, ask your questions.
Okay, so going into the Delta server, could you divert $400 of the server's money into buying a row of Delta seats to celebrate this Delta server?
I'm not gonna answer that question. It's just so silly.
Oh, I have a second one too.
Okay.
Did you hear the one about the psychologist convention that took place in the Swiss Alps? I bet there were quite a lot of Freudian slipping. Huh. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Fred, for that excellent contribution, as always.
Do you guys think that was funny? Just out of
No,
curiosity.
not particularly.
No. Okay. But really, some people did. But, well, yeah, duh, Fred. Well, Fred, of course it's your own joke. Oh boy. Yeah, like no, I don't have money. I already paid it all to spend on Delta server. Like, no.
I think that's it for questions now. I can't see any other hands, and I can't see anything else in the chat. So I'll give it another 10 seconds if anyone else just wants to bring something up.
How about you donate $400 to offset my server costs, please? That'd be great.
With that, we will now officially draw the September 2023 GSM